In short, yes, but there's a lot to cover, so let's get into it. Hello, y'all doing my podcast, Society Jobs and Occasional Bonus, the PowerPoint Gamer here, and y'all might know that I use Final Cut Pro 10 as my editing software of choice for all of the videos that I produce on my channel. But the thing is, Final Cut is just about $300, and I'm not exactly the biggest creator. So this video is really meant for the smaller creator who thinks they might need it, is on the fence, or just didn't know about it to begin with. And if you're looking for good editing software, this video will probably help you out. So this video, we're gonna cover if Final Cut Pro is really worth your money. But see, $300 is quite a lot, and to be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to cover that all on my own. So I'm thinking, maybe I should call in some backup.
Hello?
Yo, I'm making a Final Cut video and I could use some help.
This isn't a trap just to get me copyright flagged by Apple again, is it?
No.
Then I'm in. Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Brick General here, and we're here to help you figure out if Final Cut Pro is worth it for you.
Now, if you don't know what Final Cut Pro is, let's catch you up to speed. Final Cut Pro, or Final Cut, is an editing software made by Apple for Macs. It's a professional editing software that you can get yourself for $299. Now, that's a decent chunk of change. So what does the $299 get you? Well, Final Cut is capable of a couple of crazy things right out of the box. For one, it's super organized. When you boot it up, the project you were last working on is right at the bottom, the libraries and files are in the top left, the playback is at the top in the middle, and all your editing tools are over on the top right corner. This doesn't change. You can adjust the size of each, but the clean, simple UI is easy to handle, easy to get used to, and easy to navigate. What you really want, though, is the top right, the editing tools. When you open a file into a project, that top right menu is how you're going to get work done. You can color correct, edit the sound setup, and check details of the file. If you open up the effects tray, you can see, well, all of the effects that are built in. If you want to go for that Michael Bay look, just throw an orange and teal on there. If you have a green screen shot, this is where you'll find your keyer and where you apply the effect. It runs it out for you. If you need to mask something, it's over here. And this stuff is really powerful. Here's a video I made with Final Cut. While I don't have the library, I can break down what I did. When we filmed this shot, the car wasn't actually moving, but in the context of the video, yeah, not so much. So how did I make it look like this? Well, I used some footage of the car as the backdrop in the lowest layer, also to get our subject in frame. Then I added a mask on one of the pieces of the window panel. Then another mask on the other piece of the window panel. And again. And again. And finally, on the very bottom of all of these, the footage of the trees playing in the background. The problem is the illusion of being outside can be broken really easily, especially when the camera shakes, so I had to rotoscope it. I went frame by frame and edited every mask layer to make sure the windows were still properly masked. Now that's some really powerful stuff, but I know what you're thinking, there's a lot of editing tools out there, and pretty much all of the good pro editing tools can do the same thing.
So what sets Final Cut apart? Well, for one, it's an Apple product, so while it may be more simple and less feature-rich than other editing tools like After Effects and Premiere Pro, it does have the clean, easy-to-use feel that Apple is known for. Beyond just that, though, it's only made for Macs, so if you're a Windows user, you're kind of tough there. And even though that limits the amount of computers that can run it, that just means it's heavily optimized. A big tech YouTuber, Jonathan Morrison, and another big tech YouTuber, Linus Tech Tips, both made videos about this where Linus, a PC guy, edited a video on Premiere on a trash laptop and it just didn't work. But John edited a video on a trash MacBook, and even though that Mac isn't powerful by anyone's standards, even today, it still did the job. Final Cut is also generally faster when you compare two similarly powerful computers because of that sweet Apple optimization. Also, Final Cut does something that no other editing software does. It renders your edits in real time. You might have noticed this little pie in the top right. This will tell you all the stuff that's going on in the background, when it's rendering, when it's exporting file, when it's loading up thumbnails, and waveforms and all that kind of stuff. Well, rendering is usually done as a package deal in other professional video editors. For example, Premiere Pro requires you to finish your edits, render the project, then you can export the file. With Final Cut, just give it a sec after you're done editing, maybe play it back to make sure everything's good, and it will render on its own. Plus, if you make any edits after rendering a Final Cut, it just re-renders real quickly.
So yeah, it's a really powerful tool, and it can do a lot of things really well. But there are a couple of things that Final Cut isn't as good at compared to some of the other editing tools out there. For example, that masking and rotoscoping thing, it's good, don't get me wrong, it's really good, but other editing software can do it pretty much the exact same, and in some cases, even better. Adobe After Effects comes with built-in motion tracking, so if you have a moving frame like we did in that shot where the guy turned his head around to go check in one of his mirrors, you wouldn't have to rotoscope it, you would just frame out that section of him and then motion track it instead of having to rotoscope it manually. But overall, Final Cut works really well, edits really well, is a really powerful tool, looks good and is super organized, and is really easy to use. Plus, it doesn't have anywhere near as many bugs or issues that any of the other editing tools have. So Final Cut Pro is probably, in my opinion at the very least, the editing software worth your money. But the question is, do you need it? The title of the video is Final Cut Pro worth it? Right? But it should really be, is Final Cut Pro worth it for you? Because here's the thing, depending on the kind of content you're going to produce, you might not need access to all those expensive tools. You might not need access to all those super powerful tools at the cost of $300. I mean, with $300, you can get yourself a Switch. But if you do need that kind of stuff, if you are going to make super heavy, high quality content, maybe you can justify dropping $300 on Final Cut. And beyond just the $300, Final Cut only works on Apple products, specifically Apple computers, which means that it's going to be extra expensive. The one upside to that is it will run decent enough on any Mac product, but you're still going to be shelling out at the very least like almost $1,000. Plus the $300 on top of that grand. So net, you're going to be shelling out at the very least just about $1,300. But if you can justify that kind of a thing, if you're going to be using that tool that often, that much, and need that kind of power, then I think Final Cut is most definitely worth your money. But if you plan on doing like pretty basic stuff, if you don't plan on doing anything that requires that amount of heavy editing, you might want to consider free stuff like iMovie. Anyway guys, that's been it for this video. Thanks for watching. A huge thank you to Brick General for helping me out with that second portion. He actually came up with the idea for this, but thought that I should also help him out with this. And I was like, oh, I have a lot of stuff I can say about this, so we all made it into a collab video. And long story short, we ended up having a really great time making this. And thank you all so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, please do leave a like down below. Go follow Brick General on his channel as well. I will leave it in the end card here. You can subscribe to him if you want. And comment below how hype you are about Final Cut, if you picked it up, if you haven't picked it up, if this video helped you make a decision, leave that all in the comments below. Subscribe to lift when my new videos come out, including videos like this where I stand in front of a camera and talk, as well as gameplay videos that I do fairly regularly. And hit the bell to join the notification squad and get alerts every single time a new video drops, as soon as it drops, and including the moment in time I go live. Intro with the fence, I'm about to teach myself. So guys, intro, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm the Proud Bun Gamer, and my lights are out.